I thought that was fulfilling because it shows the growth of this team. You know, we've been getting in this situation and giving up a bucket. Wiggs, who I thought made a very good play on the game, usually not a call that's called at the end of the game, a free ball in there, knock the ball down, call a foul. However, we had a foul to give. And then they try to throw it over the top, over me to KD. And interestingly enough,
doesn't it sometimes look like the NBA is becoming MMA? It is because of the Golden State Warriors' infamous Draymond Green and his antics. Known for knocking his opponents down physically, let's look at his violent acts in the NBA. Several offenses and fouls have given him a bad name. In spite of being suspended many times, he just returns to whoop his opponents left, right, and center. But that is not all. He is completely unapologetic about his actions. In several interviews, he has defended his actions, stating that he does it for the win and that you have to do what you have to do in order to win. Do you think such unsporting behavior should be tolerated in professional sports? Some fans have already called him out after he received the worst suspension in his sports career in 2024. The NBA has long decided to impose hefty fines on violent players, and some fines are truly too much. However, Green is one of the players who deserves to be punished. NFL legend Shannon Sharpe recently, in a podcast, called out Green over his behavior. Green dared to say that players in the NBA are affected by hefty finances, which apparently prevents them from staying healthy. Such a statement coming from someone who has injured several players on the court is very infuriating. Fines are imposed on players who commit violent acts on the court, and it helps the NBA maintain a professional image. People tend to accept the sport, and it becomes more marketable. Sharpe had an interesting solution for Green's concerns. He said that Green should simply stop hitting people in the privates, gouging people's eyes, and boxing his own teammates, let alone when he decides to choke his opponent for a straight 10 seconds. If he doesn't commit such acts, fines would automatically go away. Players like Sharpe have no sympathy left for lawless people like Green. Green has been the center of terrible controversy for a very long time. His acts include kicking Steven Adams in the groin, choking Rudy Gobert, and of course punching his former teammate Jordan Poole. He justifies his actions by often stating that he does it for his team. And here he is, punching his own teammate. Imposing fines and strict regulations is a must to control people like Green and his brave actions. Sharpe even highlighted the fact that Draymond Green lost $3 million in fines and suspensions, something that could have been avoided only if he had followed the rules. Green has an opinion that the NBA imposes fines so that the players do not have money when they retire from the sport. His fans had something else to say. He said that he lost $100,000 because a referee was mad at him. He is brave enough to underplay why the referee was mad at him. His mother took years to earn such money, but he didn't. And if he could get his act straight, he could save some money for retirement as well. His fans straight up attacked him on Twitter. They said it's his problem, that he's not capable of saving enough for his future. For someone who's earning upwards of $100,000, it should be easy to plan a financial future. But hey, what do the fans know? This is in spite of the fact that Green earns $25 million a year as his salary. His actions seem to be gaining no sympathy from anyone, especially because he intentionally hurt others. Now that he's playing the victim, it's just not working. With icons of the NBA like Sharpe calling him out, it's worth watching how he acts in future games. What fans haven't forgotten about him is how he punched his teammate Jordan. Green is said to have stated that the team's owner, Joe Lacob, sees him as a future coach after Steve Kerr retires. Hearing this, fans kept mocking the Golden State Warriors player because they just couldn't fathom a rule breaker like him acting as the coach. Referring to the incident where Green punched Jordan, they said that someone who could punch his teammate could never be a good coach. He has a record of being banned, fined, and suspended. Fans believe that he will set a similar record as the coach. A few fans, however, thought that if he kept his temper in check, he could be a good coach. He does have good basketball skills and knows the ins and outs of the team well. He has also been roasted by other players like Kenny Smith while on TNT. They said his middle name was Flagrant Foul. Last year, the great violent Green was suspended by the NBA 17 times. Some of his actions include hitting Jusuf Nurkic in the face and putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold. Most players would not have the courage to take such actions on the court, But Green is an exception, and he keeps repeating violent or flagrant fouls again and again. He indeed has a lot of bravery to be able to do this. Draymond is the biggest villain in the NBA, probably the only villain left. Basketball in the 80s and 90s was unhinged. People are fighting, wrestling, and beating each other in court. And don't forget the trash talk. But the modern NBA is more of a sports marketing game, and you don't see the same kind of violence. But Green is indeed someone who can be compared to people of the 80s. The NBA has repeatedly tried to soften the game since then, and Draymond is the last stone left to turn. No one comes even remotely close to what Draymond does. He is solely responsible for most trouble and drama created in court. The way he punches, kicks, and chokes, he could easily be a successful MMA fighter. Indeed, his actions cannot be supported, but there is no doubt that his drama does provide a lot of entertainment. He wasn't a bad player from the beginning. He had a lot of tenacity and intelligence, but was equally reckless and violent. He went from a novice in high school to captaining the Michigan State University team. After this, he became the Draymond we know today. He angered opponents on the field, bullying their jerseys and tripping them over while playing. Despite his faults, he learned to stand up for his team and his coach and excite his team before the game began. His game wasn't that strong either. He had a weak jump shot, he was smaller than most players in his position, and he lacked athleticism. In spite of this, as captain of the Spartans team, he regularly improved upon the team's mediocre skills. He once received the National Player of the Year award. The coach of the Spartans team was old school. He made the team fight each other wearing football gear. So Green's style of violence sat well with the Spartans coach. Green and Griffin were the worst opponents in the NBA. Griffin was the most agile, well-built player in the NBA at that time. But Green made sure he made it clear when he entered the court that Griffin wouldn't be spared. He once elbowed Griffin in the face, for which he earned a disqualification. This was his second career ejection. What do you think about that? Do ejections actually affect how a player acts? Green went right back to commit fouls when playing against Griffin and against most other teams as well. He became well known for his MMA style of playing in 2016 in the conference finals. He kicked Steven Adams in his private parts. This was in Game 2. Maybe that wasn't enough, so he kicked him in Game 3 again, repeated offenses against the same player. He tried to justify his desperate act by saying that the acts were unintentional and that his leg was not under his control. He tried to jump, and this happened. Surprisingly, the NBA believed him, so he kept playing and wasn't banned. He just got a flagrant foul in his name, but that didn't lead to his ejection. He crossed a line when, in Game 4, he punched LeBron James in his privates. This was very clear, and he wasn't going to get away by lying this time. Because of his last 2 flagrant fouls, and after this act against the legend LeBron, he was suspended from Game 5. This was something he absolutely deserved, because he was part of the Golden State this time. They arguably lost the championship in 2016. He kept his bad reputation up. Not only that, but he also multiplied his reputation by committing more such acts. In 2017, he went all over the referees and got suspended again. Even his team supported his act, claiming that it showcased their tough spirit. It was an edge that he maintained, but the next match, he simply crossed the edge. This time, he didn't just commit a foul, he had a full-fledged wrestling match with Bradley right in the middle of the court. He had the most number of technical fouls in 2016. In 2018, he was the player who had the second most number of technical fouls. A very unique record to hold, and an infamous one. We will keep you updated with the latest facts about NBA players. Till then, like, share, and subscribe for more.